Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties, education, and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Barber, Director of Cultural Affairs for Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country. In the courtrooms of America, Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
Today on Faith and Freedom, we're going to be talking again with Timothy Goeglein, author of The Man in the Middle, an inside account of faith and politics in the George W. Bush era. I'm Matt Barber, Vice President of Liberty Counsel Action in today for Matt Staver. And our very special guest again today is Tim Goeglein. And Tim, welcome back.
Thank you so much, Matt. It's really great to be here.
Well, now, Tim, you're currently working as a VP for External Relations with Focus on the Family. You're a senior fellow with the Heritage Foundation. You've been very involved in public policy in Washington, D.C. at the national level for many, many years. For 8 years, you were a special assistant to the president, deputy director of Office of Public Liaison to the faith-based community, essentially to the evangelical community. And your book dives into some of your experiences in the White House. In the first part of your book, we've talked about that on Faith and Freedom this week so far. I want to focus today on the second part of your book, kind of what makes you tick. You get into some of your personal influences that help to frame your worldview, and your view of public policy. Tell us about the second part of your book, The Man in the Middle.
When I was a young boy, I had the great advantage of growing up in a happy home. Next to my wife of 20 years, my best friends are my mom and dad. My parents were and are a remarkable couple. My father is a businessman, now retired, entrepreneurial by nature, a very practical man. And I learned the importance of practicality in this world, and I learned the importance of manliness from my dad. My mother had a more intellectual bent, of a great people person, but a lover of ideas. And I think when you are a mother or father who loves ideas, not loving ideas more than people, but loves ideas, there are all kinds of ways that you can instill this in your children. And from a young age, I knew that certain things were important in our home, and among them were books. And I think it's fair to say that although I've never smoked a cigarette, I read books like Murrow used to smoke cigarettes, one after the other. And my mother principally read to me a lot as a child. She taught me to love books, to love poetry, to love music, to love the arts, and this sort of thing. And she opened up this very large internal world for me and for my brothers and sister. And among the things that she taught me, and my father as well, were to love the just, the beautiful, and the true. Not to do so theoretically, but lived experience. Mm-hmm. So I knew very early on that even though I loved ideas, I did not want to be an academic. I have a sister who's an academic, and I'm very proud of her and love her very much. And she's very good at what she does. But I realized very early on that for myself, I wanted to find a way to be in the arena, to live my ideas. Mm-hmm. And so that's the trajectory that I followed. I never, ever would have guessed that I would have been an intern for Dan Quayle when he was in the Senate, an intern for Dan Coates when he was in the House, intern for NBC News in Washington. I mean, I really give all the praise to Jesus Christ for the trajectory of my professional life, my personal life as well. Chesterton, G.K. Chesterton, Gilbert Keith Chesterton, for those who don't know, a very physically and intellectually and theologically large figure, British by birth of the last century, once wrote that the true soldier fights not because he hates what is in front of him, but because he loves what is behind him. That's a very conservative statement.
Sure it is.
This is an exceptional, exemplary, remarkable country. It is built on the Judeo-Christian, Greco-Roman traditions, the best traditions of Western civilization. And I came to see that people like Russell Kirk, the author of the Magisterial, The Conservative Mind, the the magisterial, The Roots of American Order, the poetry of T.S. Eliot, the greatest poet of the 20th century and a very serious Christian, John Henry Newman, in the American context, William F. Buckley Jr. These became very large people in my life. And as I write in The Man in the Middle, in a way that I never could have planned, both Russell Kirk and Bill Buckley became personal friends of many years. Bill Buckley taught me to sail. He taught me to love other people and to love life, and to find real joy in things that are not always the most apparent things. He had a Chestertonian aura about him. Russell Kirk was more of an intellectual. Our friendship was rooted in many, many letters over many years. I would see him once or twice a year when he came to Washington in the latter part of his life. But I write in my chapter, Fortunate Friendships, in very personal ways about my friendships with Bill Buckley and with Russell Kirk. And other than my family, who have had the biggest influences in my life, these two men probably impacted me more in the realm and in the world of ideas. And they've really informed my view of conservatism, which is that conservatism is not a political program, that conservatism is a way of life. And it's a beautiful way of life because it's extremely consonant with the most important thing in my life, which is my relationship with Jesus Christ.
Well, one of my favorite authors, Mark Twain, and I'm paraphrasing here, he said essentially that the secret to happiness is to make your vocation your vacation, if you can. And I'm blessed every day to think that I get to do the things I love, to answer the calling that God has placed on my heart, and it's actually my vocation. Your call, and it sounds to me like your calling, the God-given calling that the Lord has put on your heart, is your vocation. You are doing what He has called you to do, and you are blessed to make a living doing it, and you are furthering in your works biblical principles, conservative principles, which oftentimes are one and the same. Conservative principles are biblical principles, are conservative principles. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing now with Focus on the Family, the Heritage Foundation, and how your past experiences and the calling the Lord has placed on your heart is influencing what you're doing today.
That's a great question, and I appreciate exactly what you said because I have a whole chapter on vocation, particularly regarding young people and how they should think about their vocation. Someone once said to me, "Can you give me a clever way to think about it?" And I said, "Yes, vocation is what you do for free in life if you were a billionaire."
Right.
But the answer to your question is the following. I love working at Focus on the Family. Focus on the Family, which puts families, marriages, and parenting right at the bullseye. My view is that when Focus on the Family was founded, and if you fast forward to today, there are very few organizations or ministries that can say that their purpose is more important today than the day they were founded.
Sure.
As I say in the book, we are experiencing historic levels of social and moral decay.
Oh, absolutely.
It's all rooted in the breakdown of the nuclear family, who George W. Bush called, and I love this phrase, the unseen pillar of civilization. He was right.
Yeah.
And Dr. Dobson, now retired, Jim Daly, the new president of Focus on the Family, these are great men. And they see the pillars of our ministry as reaching out and helping the least, the last, and the lost. And particularly with a very special emphasis on how are you to be a good mom and dad? What does it mean to be a strong parent?
Sure.
Especially if you have strong-willed kids.
Yes.
What is the utility and value of strong families? What does it mean to actually get up every day and civilly and diplomatically and peacefully support the sanctity of every human life, born and unborn?
Right.
That to me is joy. And so I love working at Focus on the Family. My job is in Washington. I am Focus's eyes and ears in Washington. I'm the ambassador for Focus in the most powerful city in the world, and I love it. And I have to say, as a senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation, it's consonant with my work at Focus, but I help to reach out and to share with social conservatives the great work of the Heritage Foundation.
Well, at Liberty Counsel, we are very blessed to have a friendship and a working relationship with both Focus on the Family and the Heritage Foundation.
Yes.
We all have many of the same goals to further biblical principles within public policy and our larger culture. The book, The Man in the Middle, it's available at Barnes & Noble, on Amazon.com, at bookstores across the country. Folks, you have to get it. It's catching on like wildfire. It really is showing the true George W. Bush and the true George W. Bush administration versus all the false narratives that have been created over the year. The Man in the Middle, an inside account of faith and politics in the George W. Bush era, with author, my friend, Tim Goeglein. Go to the bookstore today and get it. Tim, thanks again, and we look forward to having you the rest of the week on Faith and Freedom.
So much.
You have been listening to Matt Barber of Liberty Counsel. We hope that we have motivated you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedoms. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email updates. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.